Hello, everyone. Very good evening. So, we are at the end of a week which had too many monetary policy.
Yeah, so we had four monetary policy decisions this time around. So we had our RBI's monetary decision plus Bank of England, we had of Fed and Bank of Japan.
So, as we all know, our RBI has increased the interest rates once again. All those people who have taken loans from banks, you all can go and cry out there, down there behind me, where other people are crying. Okay, and why did the RBI do this, Amish?
Yes, so this time around, it was main concern was about the inflation. So the inflation is going up for the last two times, and again they have given the outlook that it will go up. So kind of they had to take care of all those things. That is one reason. Plus, what about the rainfall?
Right.
Yeah.
So this time round, in June there was a scare of deficient rainfall. In July, the rainfall kind of covered up, but we are still 6% below the average.
Yes.
The Kharif sowing season is also depicting that the sowing is around 7.5% lesser than
Yeah.
last year. So, keeping all these concerns, also there is a report which says that the El Nino effect, which is happening, okay, it is actually happening faster than expected, and this can actually also cause a rainfall scare in the months of August and September. So, when you consider all these factors, rainfall also played a big role in the RBI's decision for the monetary policy. Now, as for the inflation, if you were to look at the numbers, the core inflation came in at around 5%, and the next year's expectations go like this: that for second quarter, 4.6%; for first half, for second half of this
4.8.
year is 4.8%, and for FY19 it is 5%. Right. So. Yeah, this is about the RBI inflation expectation. And also this week, we had Bank of England monetary policy.
Yes.
Yes, and they hiked their rates by 0.75%. Now, mind you, this has gotten the rate of borrowings in the Bank of England in England to the highest level since 2009. Yeah, and also there is a big scare of a hard Brexit which is taking place out there, and again 2 weeks back that hard Brexit index had hit 12%. Now it has slightly cooled off at 9%, which gave them the slight headroom of going for the interest hike. So, what about the Fed monetary policy?
So the Fed has maintained its stance. It has not gone up, but we are expecting it to go up in the next two policy decisions. So during the month of September and also during December, most probably there will be two rate hikes which are expected.
Also, the US GDP numbers which came in last week, they were
Yes.
blockbuster numbers. And again, the Fed is very bullish on the US economy.
Yes, they are not mainly concerned about the trade war thing. They are mainly, expecting that the economy is going to perform better. That's what was said in the policy decision. So that's the reason this time
Right.
around there was no hike.
Yeah, brilliant. And then finally, Bank of Japan, as we discussed, they have entered into something randomly new. You can expect Japanese people to do new inventions in technology, and you can expect them to do new inventions in financial and economics world too. They have come up with an unlimited QE.
Yes, still struggling for getting towards the 2% inflation target
Yeah.
since a very long time.
Time. So, yes, and finally, the big headlines.
Apple has hit a target, market capitalization of 1 trillion. So here, a small analysis that we did. So in case if you would have bought this stock around in 2008 of say 50,000 instead of buying an iPhone.
Yeah, worth an iPhone at
Yeah.
that time.
So you would have made what?
Around 6 lakhs 34,000.
which is 1200%.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, these are the fun facts of this week which happened. And now let's go on to the international markets. Please bear with me while I load the charts. Where is this? Okay, so I am sharing my screen for some reason. I'm not able to know. Ah, this is the chart. Okay, so as you guys can see, I hope you guys can see. Can you guys see the chart? Yes, you can see the chart. Great. So yeah, we've got the FTSE already loaded here on your screens, and FTSE is flat. Yeah. So clearly, the Bank of England event turned out to be a non-event when you consider the market perspective. Okay, it was pretty much expected, priced in, and everything. Also, let us check the US markets. Let's check the Dow Jones. Right. So Dow Jones was flat uh, during this week. It has had 4 weeks of going up,
Uptrend, yeah.
and this week it halted its uptrend. Okay, and the volumes are not clear just as yet about this in this chart. So again, what Fed did was pretty much in line with what was expected in the market,
Yes.
and obviously
Pretty
the
much discounted.
yeah, pretty much discounted with the market. Um, about that, so what is your view on the trade war between US and China? Who's winning it according to you?
So mostly, of course, we can see dollar index for that. I guess that will give us a overview. So dollar
Okay,
is
so let's have a look at the SY.
strengthening.
So yeah, so the dollar index is clearly moving up,
Yes.
right? As compared to the Chinese
Chinese
yuan,
yuan.
right?
Also the
So
Chinese index.
yeah, so the CNY, I think it's CNY USD or something. Yeah, so the Chinese yuan has been dropping consistently.
Consistently for the last
Yeah, since
so
April.
many weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
since April it has fallen by 9%. So if you are to take currency as a yardstick, dollar index
Yes.
versus the Chinese yuan, then I think the markets are saying that US is
Yes. Clearly, it is at a winning position.
winning position in the trade war. I would not say winning position as much as I would say that US will not be affected as much by the trade war as China would be affected, probably. Yeah. So that is that. And moving on to which market you want to see, let us have a look at the France market. The market is FCHI at 40, that is. Again, flat, no movement here whatsoever. And then DAX. A very interesting report came on the DAX this week that the German consumer sentiment is at a very low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So German consumers are hoping for October to come soon so that they can have that October fest to lighten their spirits. Bad joke. Right? So then after that, let's move on to our Shanghai composite. Again, going down, going down. So again, if you were to compare the reason for this trade war being
Yeah.
one of the major reasons for this, another minor reason for this is Pakistan. China has lent a lot of money to Pakistan.
Yeah.
And now there are reports which suggest that Pakistan might not be able to repay back all of that money to Chinese corporations unless the World Bank steps in and gives them money to repay it back.
Yeah,
World Bank or
IMF.
IMF, yeah. Right? And then another news about the Chinese stock market and the Japanese stock market was this week that the world's second largest stock market now is the Nikkei
Yes.
and not the Shanghai Composite
Yes, and the first one, of course, it is US with 31 trillion.
market cap.
Yes, market capitalization.
And this week, the Japanese market capitalization it went to 6.17 trillion.
Yes, and the Chinese, so Japanese went till 6.17 and China was at 6.09.
Right. So you can see the difference between the first and the second. The
Yeah.
first is US 31 trillion
Of
market
course.
cap, and the next one is 5 times lower than that, which is Japan 6.17,
Yeah, followed by China.
6.09, owing to trade wars. So another good fact for the week for all those who are tracking the world markets. Now let's move on. Let's have a look at the Nikkei chart once. That is the Japan 225. There you go. Again, Nikkei flat. Yeah, so we don't have inflation, we don't move that much, stuff like that. So Japanese market has been in a consolidation over the past 10 weeks, as we can see, and is still in the consolidation, right? Now let's go on to the domestic markets. Okay, let's have a look at our Excel. This is our weekly Excel. I hope that it is visible. No, it's not. We will have to first share this Excel with all of you all. There we go. Huh. So now, talking about the equity market this week.
Yes, so Nifty is, we can see it is up by 0.73%, and Sensex is 0.59. So all the three major indices, also Bank Nifty is up by 0.22%.
So pretty flat week for the market.
Yes.
Although Nifty is still at its life high,
Mm.
right? And so is Sensex. These are the gainers, losers. Again, result-driven week majorly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had quality and HDR moving 26% each. And then we had Reliance Naval at 25% going up. Adani Power 22% and Aditya Birla Fashion 22%. Adani Power interestingly is coming up with its result next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, these are the losers. Again, we have Reddington, we had Canfin Homes, who went berserk last week, so it had to correct this week.
Even Canfin Home.
Yeah, Canfin Homes, yeah. And then we had L&T Tech, L&T Infotech, both of them taking a hit of 7%, and Jubilant Life Science 7%.
All those companies are bigger come out.
What about the FII flow?
Yes, so the FII flow for this week, we can see that the domestic investors have sold. So it is minus 738 crores, whereas FIIs have been the buyers, probably because of which the Nifty is
Going
moving
up.
up. Yeah, so it is 490.83, and
If you were to see the last 3 weeks, right? So last 2 weeks, constantly the DIIs have been selling,
selling.
and the FIIs have been going up, buying. But prior to that, the scene was lopsided.
Yes.
2 weeks the DI had been buying, and the FIIs had been selling. So clearly, there is some buying interest that the FIIs are showing in our markets.
Yeah.
Also, interestingly, out of this 490, which the FI uh, no, 738. Today's DI purchase was 90. So plus 90.
Plus 9.
Yeah. So again, these are monthly trends. What has been happening over the last 3-4 months? You can clearly see the DI is taking a lead, and the FIs are just not buying. In July, they bought a little bit. Now they are entering into the buying phase.
Yes.
Looking at the annual trends, DI is clearly buying every year, and FI is also buying every year, except in 2018, where they are net sellers of 4091 so far. So it's interesting to see how this FI flow is affected by the global macroeconomic scenario that we are seeing. So in 2016 end, we saw demonetization,
Yes.
and then in 2017 we saw this crazy buying by the DIs, which is continuing this
In
year
this
too.
year as well.
Yeah. So this was about the FIDI. Now let's talk about the sectors.
So here, for the sectors, we can clearly see that PSU banks this week have gone up by 4.7, approximately 5%. Also, pharma sector and FMCG here, if we come down, it has gone up by 2.2. Yeah, and Nifty Energy, it has also gone up by 3.5%. So that is about this week. And can we compare it with?
So what has happened is that in the last 2-3 weeks, if you were to see, energy and FMCG and uh, which other sector? Nifty Bank. These three people were going up, and they were driving the Nifty, and we were constantly yelling that other sectors are not participating, what is happening and all. So this week, I think someone heard us,
Really, yeah.
and there's a clear participation from other sectors too, right? And now, if you want to see the annual trends, okay, so in the annual trends, you can see.
So in the annual trends, we can see that since 2015, pharma had gone up by 9%. Other than that, uh, in 2016, it went down to 14%. Again, 2017, the same thing was followed. But the Nifty Pharma is, kind of recovering from that phase, and it is coming out of it. Now it is at minus 1.24.
So yeah, now it is minus 1.24, and it seems to be bottoming out this year.
Yes.
So
So here in this chart round, we can
yeah,
probably make it out.
we can see it more clearly that year till date is minus 1.24, month till date 3.5%, and this month just started,
Yes.
and week on week change is 5%. So pharma has clearly had a brilliant week. Not to mention that a lot of pharma results are coming up next
Next
week.
week, yeah.
Also, if you want to see another interesting sector, is this one right here,
Metal.
metals.
Yeah. So in 2015, it went down by 30%, 31%, and followed by next 2 years where it gave 45 to 48%. So yeah, it almost gave a lot of return to the investors and the market participants. And this year around, this started correcting, so it is down by 14.19% year till date.
Year till date. Now, let's have a look at the metal index here. So, year till date is down by 14%, but over the last 1 week, it has actually recovered slightly. Now, we have to see whether this recovery will continue or no.
Yes, whether it is depicting in the commodities as well.
Yes. And another thing to keep in mind is that this is a cyclical. So metal cycle in 2015, after in 2016 it started going up, 16
Yeah,
and
it started
17.
bottoming.
Now it's taking a breather. Now it is interesting to see if the cycle continues or if the cycle turns,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that is that. Nifty Infra again this year has been a little wild for Nifty Infra sector too. So now we have discussed about these stocks right now. How about having a look at the results which are there next week?
Yes. So by that time, we can have a look at the results which we had in this week.
Right, the automobile sales results.
Yes. So during the start of the month, we get the sales of automobiles. So we can quickly glance through the same.
Yeah, prior to that,
Hmm.
let's see what the auto sector has been doing.
Yeah.
So the auto sector has been down marginally by 0.91% this week, okay, and 0.181% this month, and 10.28% this year. But if you are to look at its last 3 years, okay, in 2015 it was flat, 2016 it recovered, 2017 blockbuster 31% return, and this year it is of course obviously taking a breather. It seems like that.
Yes. So which is clearly seen in the figures that we have got. So if we talk about passenger vehicles, Maruti has had a degrowth of 6%.
0.6%.
Yeah, 0.6%. Also, M&M it had a degrowth of 7% and Toyota was 22%. But Ford has gone up by 7 and Tata Motors.
Ford
Yes.
degrowth by 7.
Yes, and Tata Motors has had a positive growth of 14%. Honda again it had a positive growth of
17%.
yeah, and Hyundai, which was very minimal, like 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the point here is that the biggest passenger vehicle players in India are Maruti and Hyundai.
Yes.
Both of them are flat.
Yeah.
Tata did a good job owing to its new cars which it launched in the last 2-3 months, and Honda did a good job basis the Amaze that has been its bestseller over the last 2-3 years.
Yes. And talking about the two wheelers, also Hero Honda has given a positive year-on-year growth rate of 9%. TVS Motor of 18%, and
Enfield has given 7% growth.
yes, and surprisingly,
Bajaj has given a blockbuster growth of 30%.
yeah,
Best sales in the last 8 years. Now, these are all these growth figures that we are talking are on a year-on-year basis.
But in month of July,
Yeah, so the July growth of Bajaj has been 30% on a year-on-year basis, and it has been the best July that they have had since the last 8 years.
in 2010 they achieved 65%.
In 2010, Chirag says they achieved 65% year-on-year growth in July.
and coming down to the tractors, M&M has had a positive year-on-year of 13, and Ascot's had of 3.15%.
And then talking about commercial vehicle space, Ashok Leyland sales have gone up in July year-on-year 27%. M&M has gone up 28%, and Tata Motors has gone up by 25%. So this sums up our talk about the vehicle sales story. Tata Motors results had come this week,
Yes.
and
Uh,
they were pretty bad. I
yeah.
think they showed a loss for the first time owing to their JLR.
Sales was down in China, so they are expecting some tariff, you know, cut. That's the reason they are kind of postponing their plans of buying, which is affecting their sales. So because of which mainly the results have not, shown a positive growth.
Correct. So now moving on to results which are coming in this upcoming week. Okay. Uh, First, we have got two results coming in from the Adani Group, that is Adani Ports and Adani Powers. Okay. Then talking about the airline sector, we are getting Jet Airways results today, next week.
Yeah.
Not that anyone expects them to be.
Yeah, same was the case with Indigo,
Yeah.
which had the results in this week.
And the results were pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think
And
it's already factored in. Today is 8%
yes,
down.
exactly. Today it was 8% down, right?
Hmm. Right.
So yesterday, I guess we covered the similar thing in our traders pit.
Yeah.
So for the auto sector, we have got results of TVS Motors, Eicher Motor, and SML.
SML Isuzu.
Mahindra and Mahindra also.
M&M results
M&M
also coming
also.
in next week. The auto ancillary space has got several results coming in next week. Nine results. Gabriel, Goodyear, Jamna Auto, Minda Corp, Minda Industry, Bharat Forge, MRF, Bosch, and Talpros. All of them.
Yeah.
Now, two small banks are coming up with their result next week.
Ujjivan and AU Small Finances.
Yeah,
Yeah, and yes, so next week we have got the results of SBI.
yeah, that's on 10th of August. 10th of August would be
Friday.
Would
of
be
Friday. So everyone's gonna have a very edgy weekend then. If they don't come out with the results during market hours on Friday.
Yeah.
Again, there is a Hindustan Industries, Hyderabad Industries coming up with its result next week in the cement and other product space. Aditya
Plus
Birla
Aditya
Capital is coming up with its results on 8th of August, that is Wednesday. FMCG, we are getting lots of results on FMCG starting Monday.
Yes.
On Monday, we have got three FMCG results: Britannia, DFM, and Parag.
And on Tuesday we have got Pratap Snacks and Glaxo Smithkline Consumer Healthcare.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, interestingly, Wednesday, we have got IRP data of India, which is going to come
10th of
down.
10th of August.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
Wednesday, 10th August. No, 10th August is Friday, sorry. So, Friday, 10th August, right? And two KPOs, first source and e-clerks are going to come out with their results. So next week we have got a very interesting mix of
Yeah.
results that are coming. But the most interesting results that are going to come down next week are from the pharma and healthcare space. So in the pharma space, we are going to have tomorrow we are going to have one result, right?
DPS level.
Divis. Tomorrow is Divis Labs results, and tomorrow healthcare space we have got Wokhart results. Okay, and on the 8th we are gonna have Cipla Lupin. Then on 9th,
There's Aurobindo, Eris Life Sciences, Healthcare Global Enterprises, IPCL Laboratories.
IPCA, yes,
Yeah. And again, 10th, we will have three results in pharma and healthcare, which will be of Apollo Hospitals, Glenmark, and Dr. Lalpat Labs.
correct. So yes, and metal result is also in
Yes,
next week.
so
That is
for metals, we have
for
got Jindal Steel and Hindalco Industries.
right. So Jindal and Hindalco. So copper has had a very bad week
Yes.
on that note. So moving on to commodities now.
Hmm.
So this is our commodities
No. There is
chart.
one more thing.
One more
The
thing.
next week, there are few more companies which results people are waited. Especially, they create a wealth for them. One is the graphite, Avanti
Ah.
Feeds,
Yes.
Graphite India, Avanti Feeds.
which are rightly little bit it corrected so much, though people are waiting for the
People are
results.
anxious about the results of these companies.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So now moving on to the commodity space, we've had it's right in front of you. Here till date, okay, three people have been the stars: crude, nickel, and NYMEX crude. So the difference that you see between the NYMEX crude price and the Indian crude price, okay, the rise, or actually even if you were to consider Brent crude price, there would still be a difference. That is owing to the difference in the rupee depreciation that has happened. Okay. Also, in the commodity space, copper has had a bad week with 2.81% drop this week, 3.09% drop this month. That is in the
Yeah,
last
and
3 days.
again year till date it is down like 10.55%.
Correct. Now, if you were to see, there are two or three interesting pockets here that I want to draw your attention to. One of them is gold.
Yeah,
Spot gold has now reached somewhere near $1,200 per ounce level, and its demand is slated to be the least demand in the last 9 years. That is what people are saying.
yes,
That the consumer sentiment of gold is the least in the last 9 years, and there has been a lot of ETFs that have been selling. Okay, so that is one thing. So spot gold is down 7%. Okay, our gold, MCX gold, spot gold down 7% year till date. Last week it was down 1%. Our gold is up 1.14% year till date, owing to the dollar going up. So in India, we have not, not really benefited from
yeah,
the falling
fall.
gold. We are still paying a high value for the gold because of the dollar. Similarly, you can see thing in silver.
Yes. So silver for this week, there was no change as such. It was down by 0.11%, and month till date again it was 0.79. But if we see the year till date chart, it is down by 9%. And if we consider our MCX silver, it is down by 0.87% on weekly, 0.99 on monthly, and again 3.3 on yearly. So similar is the case with silver as well.
Yeah, the dollar effect.
Hmm.
So, one thing that needs to be looked at is that nickel and crude, these
Yeah.
are your stars, they have been performing well in this whole year. They're up by almost 17 and 23% respectively. But last 2 3 weeks they have been consolidating. If we can just have a look at that chart, it would be more fun. So let us let me first change this chart. Hello, right? And there we go. Now from Nikki, let's move on to nickel. Nickel MCX. So it's there, but the code is slightly. There we go. So if you want to see the chart of nickel, it has gone up. It has rallied straight from 564 to 1000. After that, it has been correcting. Okay. So it's clearly in a correction phase.
Yes.
But if you want to see this long-term move, this is a nickel cycle. Okay. So we don't know whether the cycle has toppled or the cycle is going to continue. But if it does bounce back from here and closes above its this range that it has been falling over the forming over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think that nickel would probably again try to test its high and maybe even try to make a new high, right? Because check out its earlier high; it was 1200, from which it fell to 600, 530 levels, right? So maybe it can even go and retest that 1280 mark, maybe in the next couple of years. So nickel is an interesting story there. Crude oil. Let's have a crude. Maybe. Okay, let's have a look at NYMEX crude oil. Again, crude, you can see that it's formed a bottom clearly, then it has broken out of that bottom. So, outlook for crude remains on the upside, at least from how the charts are considered. Even though the last 2 or 3 weeks have been flat, you can expect that if it closes above $71, it will resume its move upwards to maybe $90. Possible. Anything is possible in today's world. And then we can see Jet Airways resuming its move downwards in that case. So that's it with the commodity space. Now let us discuss the macroeconomic stuff that happened this week, some on the data level, and let us discuss the data for next week. So this week, the Indian Infrastructure Output Index,
Yes. So it has improved, and the figures are it has went up from 4.3 to 6.7%.
7%, right? And the Indian PMI
Yes, it is. It was at a
level of 50.
53.1 to now it has gone up to 52.3.
Yeah, so it has slightly cooled down by a
Yeah.
percentage point. So this was the Indian data that was there this week. Again, this week we had US GDP data, which was blockbuster. That was
Yes.
last week or this week. And there was one interesting bit in this entire beautiful data of US economics which is coming, where
Yeah.
all the data which is coming is good. There is a one chink in the armor, that is the US trade deficit widened to its 4-month high, owing to higher imports. Now we'll have to investigate further and see how did this happen, and whether it's a one-time thing or whether it is going to be the spoiler of the US economy story. Also, the Euro PPI went down and the Indian services PMI went up this week. Now, going forward on Monday,
Yes, so we have the listing of HDFC
AMC,
AMC. So the subscription was it was oversubscribed by around about 80%, I guess. So that's the amount of money this particular IPO is getting. So it will be interesting to see at what price does it open and how much listing benefits one can make out of it. That is one thing, and on Monday we have got Russian inflation figures.
yeah,
So we will have a look at it, of course. It will be followed by the balance of trade figures on Wednesday for China, and of course, export and import data will, of course, come with it.
then on Thursday we have got the Chinese inflation rate that's gonna come in. Okay, very interesting. Whole world looks at that inflation rate. India का inflation rate जाने दो, China का पहले देखो. That way. Then 10th we have got 10th is Friday. We have got the SBI results. Okay,
Yes.
that's a big event. Then we have got the Japanese GDP numbers that are going to come in. Your Great Britain pound GDP numbers that are coming in, and your US core inflation numbers that are going to come in. So all in all, guys, it's a very interesting week that we are going to have next week, and we hope that you enjoyed our wrap up of this week. You can put your suggestions, questions, clarifications, comments, everything in the section below. So with this, I think we'll sign off now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Yeah.